Harish Salve, I just wanted to ask you, let's take the exact events that have taken place in this particular case, the Talwars. They're going to be back home, but in many ways, doesn't this represent a gross miscarriage of the way the judicial system is actually working in the country right now?
Well, I've always never minced my words about the need for reforming the Indian system. And because the system has become near dysfunctional and public opinion has become sensitive because of the electronic media, what now happens is people bay for quick results. Where the result, we want quick fixes like arrest people, throw them into jail, file a charge sheet, and if they challenge it in a court, they are told, oh well, you go to trial and you will clear your name. Except a trial in India takes forever, appeal takes forever. I mean, how many years have this couple spent? They haven't even had time to grieve over their daughter, and for the next almost decade they've been in and out of courts and prisons. So this speaks volumes about the hopelessness of the situation as far as the criminal justice system is concerned. The whole case was built on circumstantial evidence, and a lot of it was, I'm sorry to say, for want of a better word, almost manufactured by the investigating agency round 2. And then when we challenged that order in the Supreme Court, I'm sorry to say, took a very, very technical view and said, oh, this is only a magistrate, he's only taking cognizance. These are very nice phrases we use, but see what happened thereafter. So, you know, we need to rethink this whole system.
Right. I mean, Harish Salve, I think one of the things for us to turn our attention to, whatever happened to that good old legal principle of the fact that you are innocent until you are proved to be guilty. Now, all of this can be done to a couple. People can be jailed. You can be thrown into prison for 4 years. The reputation of a 13 or a 14-year-old girl who's no more, who's passed away, that can be tarnished. And all of this can happen with impunity and very little consequence after that.
And who's accountable? Absolutely. Who is accountable? Is there anybody who's going to put a hand on his heart and ask a question? We had a former CBI chief who had the temerity to come on your channel and say that, oh, we didn't have much of a case, but then they were guilty, but they were not guilty. If he didn't have much of a case, why didn't they have the courage to tell the court, sorry, please don't pursue this case? It's a hopeless case. So, you know, there has to be some accountability. And some heads, any other system, heads would have rolled for something like this. Somebody would have asked hard questions on what happened in the trial court order. That order is the High Court has criticized the judge. Next thing you know, he'll be promoted and he'll become a colleague in the High Court. So, where is the accountability? We can play absolute havoc with people's lives. And when things go horribly wrong, we just dust ourselves and walk along because we had a nice entertainment for 9 years at the cost of some 2 individuals. You had TV channels running, this running, book running, movie running, all this fantastic. Who pays the price?
Right, because Mr. Salve, I mean, accountability from which point of view? Because those 2 people could have languished in prison, all the horrible things that we've been talking about could have happened, but the media channels got the TRPs at that time, officials may well end up getting promotions. This is not just in this case, this is in every case that we can think about, but how do you enforce that accountability? How do you punish or hold somebody responsible when they have, through acts of omission or commission, destroyed someone's life?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've come across 2 cases like this of late. I mean, Purohit got bail after 9 years. 9 years and you get bail. You know, somebody has to ask hard questions and say what is going on. Talwars have suffered this kind of trial and have come out on appeal. I mean, so there has to be, we have to create, first of all, I would set up a hard-nosed committee who would look into this and make recommendations on how do we hold the police responsible, how do we hold the justice delivery system responsible. There has to be, all right, you can't whip them in public, but there has to be an internal inquiry on these judgments. And judges must know that tomorrow it might come and visit them. Just because the wind is blowing in a particular direction, you don't want to be seen as being lenient to somebody. So you write a judgment which the High Court then strictures in this fashion.
Well, you know, And in this case, it has to say that there's no necessarily malified intent to go after them. In other cases, there could be a malified intention. In this case,
let's park that. You're saying so, not that. Let's park that.
Okay.
I'm not too convinced.
Okay, you are not convinced that there wasn't malified even in this case. Fine. Okay, that has to be debated. But I'm saying, even assuming that in this case nobody was actually gunning for the Talwars, in other cases the system, somebody else could be gunning for it. There could be scapegoats that are being made. I guess the question that I'm trying to ask is, shouldn't we have some sort of a system in this country that no one is actually arrested? You don't have under trials spending 3 years, 4 years, 7 years, 10 years, in some cases 15 years in prison without any clinching evidence, anything to really prove that they are guilty or that they are not guilty. Shouldn't that be the basic principle that should be followed?
You remember once the former law minister who spent long years in the law ministry, Mr. Bhardwaj had said that there's something wrong with the law of bail. Look around you in the world. For corruption case, it's a different case where somebody is a violent criminal. Then you put the person away, or for drug-related offenses or stuff like that, where you're scared that if a person comes out, the investigation goes to dogs, the trial goes to the dogs because of the kind of person involved. But other than those violent crime cases, why should there not be bail for anybody who's under trial? And the cases should go on a day-to-day basis. Don't give adjournments if somebody is on bail. What happens is we have such a huge backlog and such a huge shortfall in our number of judges. Then the judges are under pressure, so then you give priority. And then the argument always is, oh, we will give you bail after framing of charges. Oh, we will give you bail after some witnesses are examined. I mean, this whole approach, I'm sorry to say, there is no jurisprudence left in bail. I'm a part of the system, Vikram. I appear in the Supreme Court. But sometimes, they say, okay, after framing of charges, we'll give you bail. Why? Why shouldn't I not be given bail tomorrow or today itself? When you tell the court, can you please tell the judge to take my bail application early? Yes, he'll hear it in 3-4 days, no urgency. Why? I mean, is this the attitude we bring to bear for citizens' liberties? But that happens, and I'm sorry to say it happens in my court. It happens in the Supreme Court day in and day out. Something has gone wrong with us, there's something inside us as Indians has gone wrong. I have not seen this in any country of somebody being treated in this fashion where it comes to his liberty. I mean, our media went all up in arms saying, oh, Malia got bail. Of course he was going to get bail. It was an extradition case. They've put him on terms. They've said you will keep a phone next to you 24 hours. If you breach any conditions, we will take you in custody. But other than that, please remain in town. I mean, this is how the world works. So this, we have to put people and there's something inside us which has changed. We become a bloodthirsty society. We don't mind if people spend a few days in jail because we demonize people much before the trial begins.
Yeah, those are strong words, Harish Salve, and probably justified. And quite frankly, I am my own fraternity. The media needs to share the blame in that. Everyone is so ready to be judge, jury, and executioner these days that you're not really posing too much to think as to whether the person you're executing is actually innocent or guilty, or what is the evidence, or are there facts, or is there a benefit of doubt to be given. None of that is likely to happen. Last quick thoughts from you before I come to the rest of my panel. Any hope from your point of view for change? Do you think this could change? Is it going to change? And how can that change be brought?
Well, change will have to be across the board. First of all, we need to change. Apart from strengthening our system, adding more judges, we need to revisit our code of criminal procedure, provisions relating to bail, provisions relating to indictment for trial, and then we have to have some accountability system. I mean, can you imagine the amount of money the Talwars have spent? They will not be awarded costs. How much lawyer, I mean, some of us help them pro bono, but not every lawyer will appear pro bono. And why should people be driven to this? By the time the criminal trial is over, you and I have paid for the CBI public prosecutors. Poor chaps are paid a pittance, but whatever it is, you and I are paying for the public prosecutors. The poor victim is paying for his legal defense. And then at the end of it, the CBI chief shrugs his shoulders and says, yeah, I don't know. But you're right, it was a circumstantial evidence case, not much in them. Is this how cavalierly we deal with people's lives, people's liberties? Zero accountability. There has to be costs. Costs have to be paid. Accountability has to be fixed. Officers should know you can't frame people. You can't do all this because tomorrow it will come back to bite you.